regardless of the outcome. Boost the positive energy without one. Sorry about the jab, I'm on a holy field. I'm bearing fruit, but demons try to eat them like Yoshi meals. I pissed them off the Batman like Falcone deals. Jungle full of predators, I know how Mowgli feels. So I got the fire, refuse to live in fear. I can spot suppliers, eating fresh drugs. Call me private label, I be legal.
Oh yeah, welcome to episode 235 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, practical living, and sometimes even the paranormal. This episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from twooldcrowshomestead.com. Turn that simp into a pimp. Bam! Heaven's Harvest, 10% off with promo code PERMA. Remember, handle all your preparedness needs yourself. Everything you can't do, reach out to Heaven's Harvest because I guarantee they're going to get you squared away. And remember, those seeds we planted from those guys a while back, man, they're batting 1,000 and couldn't be more pleased with it. So reach out to Heaven's Harvest for all the things you can't source yourself. Probably not the best marketing strategy in the world to tell you, go source all those things yourself. But hey, not in this thing to aggrandize myself, y'all. I'm here to try to get everybody prepped for all the weird, nonsensical nonsense that's unfolding as we speak right now. But it's so good to be with y'all tonight, and I want to thank everybody on the live stream. I know it's something of a more impromptu kind of thing. So before I move on, I want to give a shout out to the people that jumped in already. Frank Family Homestead, welcome aboard. Vicky, always great to hear from you. Bettina, I'm sorry, the thing's a little bit far away from me, so if I'm getting some of the names wrong, please forgive me. Amy B, bam! That's right. So if you want to tip a pimp, remember it stands for Permaculture is my passion. So all the people that write out and say, oh, I can't believe you're calling yourself a pimp. Look, hey, in the words of my man John that just got on, shalom, okay? If you want to tip a pimp, do it over on the Fountain app. Listen to all your podcasts over there, even triple up the speed. And if you want to drop a derivation of a Bitcoin on a playa, you know where to do it. And they're called Satoshis, or they call them sats for short. So if you want to drop a SAT on a PIMP, you know exactly where to do it. So tonight, I decided to go live because, man, I've been really talking an awful lot about preparedness, obviously for the obvious reasons that everybody can imagine, and really community, because really ever since going to that event out in Kansas, man, it really put a fire under me to really talk more and more and more about this. Because I don't care how prepped or prepared or whatever you think you are, or how secluded you think you are, you're going to need community no matter where you are and what the situation might be. So Jason Sparks from Kentucky Sustainable Living, he's going to be on with me at the main event. Sorry about the tongue twister, y'all. So I want to, for everybody reaching in right now, if you would go ahead and hit that thumbs up. It tells everybody we're live. So we'll get everybody on board. So we'll talk about the farm news. And by the way, the Homestead Honey isn't in here with me. She's down there packing orders right now and doing all the other things. And man, if y'all see me, man, it's a little bit smoking up in this room, man. I'm about as hot as P. Diddy at an arraignment. So, hey, if y'all see me sweating in here, it's not because I committed a crime or anything. It's just hot up here in this studio. So anyway, yesterday, went out there and, man, this was really, really talk about building community or being part of one, or at least invited to another community. So we went out there to that homestead, the site of the Homesteaders United Jamboree. That was at Cloud9 Farm. And Michelle and I went out there, did the last flip on it, and this stuff is looking absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was a little bit moist, not the end of the world. I mean, that's the cool thing about doing these composts and doing these things in class, is that I can tell you what it's supposed to smell like, what it should look like, and all those things. So even when you do your subsequent flips, if it doesn't have those things, if you don't see all the things I told you it ought to look and smell and, feel like, then you know how to make adjustments. But thanks so much, Mountainside Homestead with Ken and Amy. Yeah, can't wait to see you guys again. I'm going to see you guys in Burnsville not too far from now, hopefully. And so all the things, what I want to do the next time I do a class like this, what I'd like to do is be able to have piles in varying forms of transformation. Okay. Instead of having just one pile that I did already, this was my first time. In fact, the first time I've ever heard of anybody doing an in-person compost class like this, but I've learned from it. And what I'm going to do next time out is set up varying piles. I'm thinking maybe 3 piles and then build one while we're there. Now, to do this class, it's probably going to be an all-day kind of class. And I want to train so many people to know how to do this, just like with the butchery and all that kind of stuff. I want to train so many people how to do it to where you can go back to your place, do it a couple of times, and then you do your own classes and then train. I mean, to where this stuff becomes so ubiquitous that you can't even sell it. Exactly the same motive that we have with comfrey is to make this stuff so doggone ubiquitous. And it's also taking these skills that, yeah, we've spent a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort to learn how to do this, but I am willing to practically give it away just to train people out there to where they know, okay, man, I really know how to make some fantastic compost, whether it's in the chicken tractor on steroids, whether it's in the 18-day Berkeley method, whether it's in the cold composting method, whether it's using, what's that one Spearco uses? It's the, the bioreactor. I can't think of the whole name of it right now. Or whether it's using Dr. Elaine Ingham's method or Jeff Lawton's method, where we've basically made an amalgamation of all these different methods, put them together into something we know that works better than anything. And it was cutting and pasting. I mean, people like Stefan Subkowiak, Jeff Lawton, I mean, you name it. And we've taken it. If we're good at anything, I guess it would be that we have the ability to take all these different modalities of learning and be able to kind of take the very best of all of them and put them into a system. Now, I'm not going to claim intellectual property on anything like that, but what I will say, I mean, I guess if it's for anything, it's for having taken all these different methods and put them together. So look out for that in the future. I mean, provided we still have a planet here, the way things are going, that's exactly what I want to do. So maybe I can get Cloud9 Farm to team up with me, because I think they'd probably be willing to do it in the interest that, you know what, I could be producing all of the compost for their farm in exchange for them hosting a site for me to be able to do it. So I'm kind of toying around with that idea in the future. If there's any interest out there, let me know. Johnson 2 bioreactor. Thank you very much, Amy. So if anybody has any interest in something like that, it would probably be an all-day class, and I'd have to charge something for it. Otherwise, people think it's fundamentally worthless. So when I was trying to give away butchery courses 10 years ago, I couldn't get anybody in there. It might have been longer than that. I couldn't even get people. I couldn't give away a butchery course. I don't care what the animal was. Nobody wanted to go 10 years ago, but now the crucible of really hard times is upon us, and now people are waking up. And hey, I don't care how you got there, man. If you want to learn this information, I want to make it so ubiquitous that we can't even sell it. Think about how awesome a world that would be in if we couldn't even sell this knowledge, because everybody already has it, or you know somebody down the street that does. So another thing we did while we were out this weekend, we were invited to a homestead gathering, homestead/preparedness gathering. And if you ever do any of these things, you realize that when you do these homestead and preparedness gatherings, that there is a certain bit of operational security, meaning that you don't necessarily, when you do these things, man, you got to be smart about it. You don't just bring your cell phone in there, okay? I mean, you got to have some level of operational security. But there was a pemmican making class, and man, it was fantastic. There was a real deal chef. I'm not going to say names or places or stuff like that because I wasn't given liberty to do so. But I mean, this was a few hours, learned how to make pemmican, and it is so easy. And then when you stop to think about it, and then the subsequent research you find out about this stuff is like, good night, man. How cool is this? I mean, I ate a little bit of it and I was like, man, this is great. Why is this not being used as a serious preparedness tool? I mean, it's totally in the wheelhouse. People have been using this thing for time and millennium. And somehow, like everything else, it's kind of been lost in the dustbin of history. Remember, if you're just now coming in, hit that thumbs up. Let everybody know. I know it's odd for me to be on live right now, but Yeah, hit that thumbs up and tell everybody we're out here. So we got the sheep eating tree hay right now, and that's one of the cool things. If you have a bunch of scrub brush or whatever out there, the sheep can't eat. Look, let them eat the stuff. Here's a little trick I'm going to share with you right now. So let's say you got some trees out there you've cut down, and let's say they're coming back. Okay, that's not the end of the world because you can use it as tree hay, or you can use it as fodder for your animals. So here's what you do. When you put them in that paddock, let's say they're going to be there 2 days or a 1-day paddock, it doesn't matter. So what you do, you let them eat everything they can reach, okay? Now, if you cut down that whole tree ahead of time, I promise you, they're only going to eat half because they want it when it's really, really fresh, preferably, okay? Unless you're in the dead of the late fall and throughout the winter. So when you're doing it this time and things are still green at this time of year, let them go out there. They'll eat everything they can reach, okay? Everything they can browse. They might even girdle it to a certain extent. Well, if you have goats, they will definitely girdle it. So let them go ahead and do their thing. And then the second day, that's when I'll actually cut the doggone thing down and then let them work the top they couldn't reach. Because 9 times out of 10, if you have them in a paddock where there's a lot of brush out there or trees that are a little bit too tall that you don't necessarily want there, don't give it to them all at once. I guarantee you're not going to dig it. I will bet any amount of money because they're only going to eat half. And then they're going to leave half of it there. So that's one of the little tricks I've learned about doing this stuff over the years. Instant Garden is doing good. We did a video about that a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it's been a couple of weeks. And the one down in the food forest, it is absolutely off and running. And that thing is absolutely kicking. And what you realize is that, you know what? The soil life down there is fantastic. So this stuff is absolutely blowing up. How about that? Give you a little update on my vermicompost system that I got from, hey, y'all, I'm not even kidding here. They're not paying me to say this. Hiwassee Products, Hiwassee, Wassee Products. Man, they make a worm bin if you want to get into vermicomposting. It's one of the lowest bars, honestly, into getting yourself into making, some seriously awesome biocomplete compost. Man, they make a worm bin that will absolutely, I've been using this thing for, I don't know, maybe going on a month now or so. And I'm telling you what, this thing is the cat's meow. I harvested some, according to the directions. When you harvest some, you harvest it basically out of the bottom. And it has this serrated edge. Basically, you put your battery drill in the end of it, runs it across there, and then it drops the vermicompost out the bottom. So the first 2 times you do it, you're supposed to recycle it, put it back in the top. Okay, well, I've done that once, and I got to do it one more time. That'll probably be this Friday. And folks, I'm telling you, I haven't looked at it under the microscope yet, but I'm here to tell you, I can already look at it with all the people that were at that Homesteading Uniters gathering. I told you all the metrics you need to know whether or not you have good compost. What does it smell like? What does it look like? All those things that you can't necessarily convey through a video. Man, I'm here to tell you that stuff is the cat's meow. Like I said, they don't pay me for this. I don't get anything for it, but Hiwassee Products, man, it's not cheap. But then again, this thing is 100% made in America, number one. Number two, they thought, like Michelle said, they thought of everything, even where to hang the doggone lid on this thing. And it's worth every dime if you ask me. I mean, boy, this is money well spent if you decide to get one. And like I said, it lowers your bar. Started off with a little compost and you put leaves, and it's so simple. I mean, anybody could do this. So if you didn't want to get into the regular composting where it's not in the budget, then, I totally get it. So Michelle was out there planting some comfrey crowns today. That's another little thing we got going is eventually we're going to get around to selling those. But y'all, there are people that call this place Comfrey Lane. And despite how much we produce, it's still not enough. I mean, we put some back. We make comfrey hay out of it. We do everything we need to do with this stuff, and it's still not enough. It is without a doubt the most valuable thing we grow, and not in terms of money, in terms of, look, y'all, I got to be honest with you. I mean, in terms of preparedness alone, there's a whole lot of things you ought to have in your medicine cabinet or have growing out there. But I'm here to tell you, there's a reason they called this stuff knit bone. Back in the Civil War, when somebody would get a busted bone or something, man, they would make a poultice out of this stuff, put it back together. There's a lady that sent us a picture of her dog that vets wanted to chop off the dog's leg She put the dog's, I kid you not, she put the dog's leg back together with comfrey poultices that she made. I mean, it's stuff like that. I mean, not to mention, I mean, there's the benefits are more than I can cite right now. But anyway, we got crowns out there. And when you plant crowns, if you decide to split them at home, they get you off and running 10 times faster. All right, before I get into the good news, and remember, Jason from Kentucky Sustainable Living is going to be on here, and you want to tune in for that. Jason's always got some great ideas, and honestly, a lot of great innovations that he's come up with, especially regarding the chicken tractor on steroids, which he's named something very, very different. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit. But coming up real soon, we got, and folks, I'm going to spend more time talking about these meetups because they are that doggone profound. And honestly, the events that are coming up, because go ahead and think you can make it all alone. Okay. And I think you're going to find out. I think you're going to find out differently that you really do need community. And that's what I'm hoping to build in the coming months. I should have been doing it long before now, but man, we've been burned so many doggone times. And I know a lot of you out there have been burned as well, that I had this high degree of reluctance of ever getting myself mixed up in any kind of community. But a mutual exchange group is totally different, than just your typical communal type structure, which is, in my opinion, a profound mistake. All right, Homesteaders Meetup. We got one coming up, and it's totally free. Renewed Homestead is going to be putting this one on. It's going to be in Burnsville. I'm sure I'll see Ken and Amy out there and a number of others out. Look, it doesn't cost you a dime, but you do have to sign up because this place only holds about 150 people. And, excuse me, as I understand it, it's going to be something of a potluck. Yeah, so don't be bringing anything whack. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be something of a potluck. I'm going to be busting out some of my culinary skills. I'm going to be bringing my best to this. And Renewed Homestead's putting it on. So go to renewedhomestead.com. I'm sure we'll have something in the show notes. And that's going to be October 5th. And that's in Burnsville, North Carolina. Now, when you RSVP, you'll be given specific instructions on how to get there. Now, why should you go to something like this? Okay, I'm going to tell you why. Number one, if you are one of those people that, like us, feel relatively isolated up here in these mountains, don't necessarily have community, or you got a bunch of people around you that moved in from, let's say, and not dogging, because I know a lot of great people from New York and California, but you get a lot of the Marchies that come out of those places, and then they come to places like here, forget the reason why they left, and then they take all their bad ideas and then try to supplant the communities that they've got into. Well, these old boys up here that have been up here for 8 generations, they're going to sing a different tune, and they dare you to say something about it. But anyway, it's not easy to get into those communities because they are very tribal, so to speak. But anyway, if you're looking to find maybe a mutual assistance group, that's why you go to something like this. It's why you go to Kentucky Sustainable Living. It's why you go to Mountain Readiness. That's why you go to some of these events, okay? But this one is, like I said, it's totally free. But yeah, I hope to see you there. Michelle's going to be there with me as well. And then Mountain Readiness, man, I'm really going to try to make this one. I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to. That's October 18th through the 20th, and that's Harmony, North Carolina. Last time I was there, man, they had a lot of special operators out there teaching classes. I mean, legends like Sue LaRue and a number of others out there that are teaching these classes that will absolutely blow your mind. And for as little as they're charging, I still can't get my head around it. I mean, I was teaching there last year, and as a lowly sapper, man, I couldn't even believe I was in there with the kind of royalty I was. I mean, guys that were legends back in Vietnam that are teaching these skills now. You want to go to something like this. And, you know, you can also do the other things I cited in the previous meetup. We got a pig processing. I was going to say October. I am basically teamed up with Jason at Sow the Land, and we do our yearly pig processing down there. That's going to be, I was going to say October 25th and 26th, but that one's sold out, folks. If you want in, the only other class we have is, and that's going to be for, I mean, when it's sold out this year, we won't be doing another one. That's going to be November 15th and 16th. So there's still spots in there. If you want to get in, go ahead. But like I said, the October classes were sold out. If you're worried about what may unfold, I know a lot of people are like, I don't know if I want to go to some of these events because of all the political climate. Doggone it, that's exactly the reason you ought to go. That's exactly the reason you ought to go. Go out there, find your community, find your tribe. I ain't saying that to go out here and go to the pig processing or whatever else, but if you need these skills and it's coming down to brass tacks, you better get in it. Look, as I always say, get loose or get lost. But, you're either an activist or an inactivist. Either way, you're involved. All right. And then finally, Kentucky Sustainable Living. That's going to be October 26th and 27th. William's going to be there teaching. A lot of other great people are going to be there as well. I wish I could be there. I think Michelle's actually going to show up to that. I'm pretty sure she's going to be there. She's got a cousin coming down from Ohio that's going to be there at this. And folks, you're going to be glad you did. I guarantee you, when I was there, it's just one of those homey environments. And folks, if you've never been to anything like this, you want to go because there are so many awesome things going on, so many awesome classes you probably don't know about. But most importantly, man, at the end of the day, even if you don't go to a single class, go there and meet the people. You're going to go there, maybe you're 3 hours away. You're going to go there, and I'll bet $1 to donuts, you're going to come across somebody that that lives maybe 45 minutes down the road. I mean, it happens every single time you go to these things. All right. So before we get on to my main guest here, let me go ahead and cover this good news right quick. All right. So I know my good news is sometimes a little bit weird, but hey, it's good either way. So RFK Jr. says DOJ under Trump will launch RICO investigations, including collusion between medical boards, medical journals, and big pharma. I got to tread lightly here because I'm getting into the territory with a couple of these articles that are the kind of things that they'll want to pull the plug on, okay? And once again, if you're coming in right now, make sure you hit that thumbs up. So, yeah, I'm just going to leave that one right there. I mean, is it going to happen? First of all, if we even get that far, all I know is I'm going to call that potentially good news because I don't believe anybody. Look, man, they're all polecats, and I'm not believing any savior on either side of the aisle. But man, that sure sounds good. I mean, even if he's wrong, I enjoy the way he lies. All right, so let's go into the second good news story. And this is about the pemmican I just spoke of a little while ago, the ultimate survival food. Now, check this out. The one we learned that Michelle and I learned to make this last weekend was made out of beef that was basically dried in the oven, as I understand it, or in a just dehydrator. It had beef fat, and it also had some berries in there, some dried berries. Now, according to this article, yeah, you can get 25 years out of it doing it that way. But according to this article, if you use nothing but fat and meat, they don't even know what the shelf life is. It's anywhere between 25 to 50 years. So you better believe, I mean, I got 6 freezers full of meat out there right now. And man, you talk about something that could be, I was talking to the chef that was teaching a class, and he was like, yeah, dude, I mean, you can wrap this stuff up in parchment paper and, you can put it on the shelf. I'm like, okay, that's well and good. But, if you got rats running around, that might be a problem. So I was thinking, okay, well, what if you were to vacuum seal this stuff, put it in a number 10 can or whatever the case may be, even an ammo can for that matter. You could even bury this stuff, man, under the right conditions. I mean, we're talking 50 years. I mean, man, you could hand some of this stuff down to the grandkids. All right, so the third article. Okay, now I really got to be careful about this one, y'all, but I got to tell you about it. Look, if you don't take away anything else I say in this show, y'all, I've been doing this protocol for a while, and I've got to get all Homestead twins are in the house. My friends, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are going to be there at Kentucky Sustainable Living, but yeah, if you're ever around those guys, man, I'll tell you what, don't be drinking water when they're talking to you, man, because you're going to lose it. These guys are a riot. Check this out. Study claims COVID-19 vaccines contain graphene nanobots, and they can be transmitted to the unvaccinated. Well, check this out. Well, that is not exactly the article that I was supposed to be pulling up. I'm just going to tell you because I've been doing this protocol, okay? You got a lady out there, and I'm trying to get her on the show, but she won't come on because she thinks I'm a real pimp. I'm dead serious. Dr. Anna Mihalchik. I've been reaching out to her, trying to get her on this show, and she hears Pimpcast. Folks, you wouldn't even believe how many times this happens, even though I write it in the emails when I'm writing to these people saying, hey, I'd love to have you on the show. I'm using your protocol. And they're like, man, I can't be consorting with any pimps out there. And even though I explain it is a doggone acronym, These people still don't get it. Either way, I'm using her protocol. So check this out. She's doing live blood microscopy on the people, and I got to tread lightly here, as you can understand. People that were suffering from, let's call it the sweet and sour sniffles, and decided that they were going to get the thing. You know what I'm talking about. And there may be some of y'all out here, but check it out. There's good news. Anna Michalczyk, Dr. Michalczyk, she's a MD and a PhD. She basically figured out that if you use this thing called EDTA, it's Echo Delta Tango Alpha, and you stack it with high doses of vitamin C, and she's suggesting somewhere around 10,000 milligrams a day. I probably take somewhere around 15 to 20,000 per day, and even more if I don't feel so well. So EDTA, you don't necessarily have to take it every day. Stack it with vitamin C, and then here's the coup de grace that she found on top of it, and it overlays with the work of Dr. Brian Ardis, and that is if you take nicotine and combine it with it, it's like chelating all those nanobots out of you. How cool is that, man? I mean, so EDTA, I take the suppositories. You can take it orally. It's not as good. The best is going to do when they do it in your vein, whatever they call that, when they stick you with a needle. Man, I'm not trying to put anything in my veins. But anyway, you can do the suppositories, which are almost as good. You can do them a couple of twice a week. Well, what it does is that it chelates all these heavy metals out of you. That's what the EDTA and the vitamin C does. It chelates all this junk out of you, and people are seeing record recoveries in ways that the powers that shouldn't be did not expect. So EDTA, I get mine from, oh shoot, man, you're going to have to email me on that because, I didn't come into this studio expecting to do a rectal EDTA suppository, okay? So give me a break on that one. But check out Dr. Anna Michalczyk, EDTA, vitamin C, high doses, and she's calling 10,000 high. That ain't high for me, but 10,000 a day. And you could take it, you could potentially take it every day. IV, okay, who is it? Yeah, Amy's saying, yeah, IV, doing it IV is the most effective way. But yeah, doing it, is nearly as effective as IV without the prohibitive cost. Yeah, but rectal is nearly, yeah. Man, I just hate saying, hey, you know what, Amy? I'm going to stick with suppository, man. I hate saying that I'm doing anything like that. But hey, just keeping it real. It drags all that junk out of you. And check it out. So you're thinking, okay, well, you never got stabbed. Well, check it out. She's doing live blood microscopy on the people that have it. And your blood is almost as bad because these other people are shedding. And then plus the nanobots that are being dropped from the sky. Don't worry, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have Dane Wigington on this show, and he's going to blow your mind with the stuff that's going on out there. It's going to get a little more esoteric, folks. But anyway, whether you did or did not get it, you're still infected, and you can drag all this stuff out of you. And she even tells you, ways. So you'll have to go to her Substack and find out the exact. But honestly, man, I take so many vitamins a day, y'all. It's going to take some of the necessary stuff out of you, but you can easily put it back in. So you got to do a little bit of research out there, y'all. Look, man, if I can work 16-hour days and still do my research on this stuff, y'all, you got no excuse, okay? So, it is, in the words of a ghetto philosopher, it do what it do. All right, with that said, we're going to go to my man, Eric Sider.
Hey, Eric Sider here with your Pimpcast tip of the day. Today's tip: is it smarter to be illegal? Instead of first and third world countries, Bill Mollison referred to them as the overdeveloped and the underdeveloped world. You could also use the terms overregulated and underregulated. We've been led to believe that regulations make us safer. They actually don't. They mostly benefit the corporations who dominate the industry because they are the ones who write the regulations in the first place. It's like hiring a fox to design your chicken pen. California is one of, if not the most overregulated state in the US, and having worked on a few projects here, I've come to the conclusion that it's actually a smarter business decision to be illegal. It's so cost prohibitive to do things by the book if you can ever get them approved anyway. You can have two people tell you two different things from the same planning office. The government is so ineffective that enforcement is a joke if it happens at all. Usually all that happens is you pay a fine, which can be cheaper than doing it legally in the first place, especially factoring in the time of waiting. Is it just incompetent layers of bureaucracy, or is it actually a subtle way to prevent you from actually doing anything? Bill Mollison said you can't do what's legal, so do what's not illegal. Basically, be creative enough to figure out a way to do it that they can't prove it's illegal. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Eric Sider, and if you're in need of permaculture t-shirts or remote permaculture consultation and design, head over to ericsider.com.
That's my dog right there, y'all. Man, story of my life, man. If y'all only knew the long list of alleged illegal things I've ever done in my life, you know what? I don't play by the rules of, look, I don't obey unjust laws. Okay, that's just how it's going to be. And yeah, Amy says, I use Detoximin. Yeah, I think that's the one I use as well. So thank you very much for that. But John says, sorry, I got to bounce, things to do. John, you ain't got nothing more to do. You ain't got nothing more important than listen to what's going down right here on the Pimpcast. No, but thank you so much for hanging out. Like I said, if you're just now getting in here, y'all hit that thumbs up. All right, before I go to my guest, EMP Shield, y'all, $50 off with promo code PERMA. Look, things jump off. You're not going to the club. You're trying to get to your bug out location. You're trying to get home, one or the other. So $50 off with promo code PERMA. Also, I forgot to mention it before, but Redemption Shield, 10% off with promo code PERMA. Look, y'all, I'm in here getting blasted every single kind of way, and my feet at all times are on this grounding mat right here in this studio. So I'm staying G'd up from the feet up. You know how it goes. All right, with that said, we're going to go to my man, Jason, if I can ever bring him to the stage. How's it going, Jason, from Kentucky Sustainable Living? How you doing, my brother?
Good. How are you?
Good. Uh-oh. We got something of a technical... Okay, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me all right?
You're a little bit low, but I think we can work with it.
I can unplug the mic if that'll work. You mean unplug it and see?
No, let's go ahead. Just speak up a little bit. I think you're good.
All right.
All right. Well, good to see you, bro.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I mean, before we get into the main nuts and bolts, in retrospect, I should have had you on the whole show because I'm pretty sure you're able to weigh in on on pretty much everything that was spoken about. But what do you think about these so-called laws that we have regarding like it's illegal to feed homeless people, or it's illegal to feed your pigs or chickens, things that, what are your thoughts on all that stuff?
I'm along the same lines with you. I'm not going to follow unjust laws for sure. I feed my pigs and chickens food scraps that is, quote, illegal to do. But I mean, it's like you said, you're the one that taught me this. You're making compost with it. You just don't tell them it's running through an animal first.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
The whole don't ask, don't tell. I've told several people, and I still get a kick out of it, that video you made on the HOA on, tell them that your chicken, identifies as a dog or a cat. I've told so many people that, and they get a kick out of it. And I'm like, dude, try it and see what happens with it. What are you going to lose with it? But yeah, unjust laws. And without getting in too much trouble, my barn that I built a barn on the back of my shop. I didn't get a permit for that thing. I mean, nobody's ever said anything to me. I guess one of these days they might say something, but I'm going to go on about it until they do.
Yeah. And what are they going to do? I mean, in some cases, I think a lot of these things persist simply because we just don't fight back. We don't say, look, enough is enough. I'm not going to play by your stupid rules. These are unjust laws. And then basically, if we do wind up standing up, then we typically find ourselves in a community where the rest of the people around us couldn't care less. So, yeah, but that's not what you guys got going on. You got an event coming up real soon, and there's a fair piece. Look, folks, if you're looking to have these kind of conversations that basically Jason and I have probably had a number of times in different locations. I mean, these conversations and a number of others that we probably can't air right now. But, you're going to find people that you can have these conversations with at an event like yours. So give us the long and short of it. Well, first of all, why don't you tell us the dates and where and when and all that good stuff?
It's October 26th and 27th in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's out at the Ag Expo Center. It's it's Western Kentucky University. They've got their farm and their Ag Expo Center. Everything's inside, so it doesn't matter. We're actually getting rain right now. So if it's raining or cold or hot, that place is climate controlled. Everything is inside. There might be a little bit of solar stuff outside, but by the nature of that, it needs to be outside. So you'll have that, but it's October 26th and 27th. Friday before the festival, we've got 4 workshops that are paid. They're an extra workshop that you can do. Chuck Peoples is doing a wound care. He's doing advanced wound care, sutures, staples, stuff like that. Leslie Gossett is doing an herbal remedies class. Both of those are 4-hour classes, and Chuck's is in the morning, Leslie's is in the afternoon. So if you want to hit both those, you can do that. We've got an emergency communications class, kind of how to develop an emergency communications plan for your group or your family. And then Grumpy Acres is going to be teaching a full 8-hour canning class.
Wow.
So we've got those 4 classes to do on Friday. And really the biggest reason I got on here, Saturday night, we're doing a charity dinner for Caleb House. And if nobody knows about Caleb House, it's TJ, Bear Independent, is building the rehabilitation center for children that they rescue from sex trafficking rings. It's all privately funded. There's no government money that's in there, so they can run it the way they want to, and they're going to run it biblically, which is, that's a big thing in my book, that they get to run it biblically the way that they believe that you should live your life. And that's an awesome part for me. They get to do that. So all the proceeds for that are going to go to Caleb House. We can sell about 100 tickets. So I want to sell 110 tickets, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Bear is a friend of mine, and man, I mean, the work they're doing down there, folks, this is a thankless job. I mean, we pray for these people that do this work. And what makes Bear so special and his group there, what makes them so extraordinary is the fact that they don't just rescue these kids, they raise them up. They adopt them. They bring them in, and they don't just get them out and then put them right back in the very system that allowed it to happen in the first place. I mean, it's like, I mean, if you had to be rescued in any kind of way, man, but these are the people. You don't want to be rescued by Navy SEALs. You want to be rescued by Bear's people, because you're going to have a chance at life. And when Bear explained that, the other statistics that jump in there that blow my mind are the fact that for every kid that's caught up in something like this typically winds up abusing another. I think the number was 88 more kids on down the line. So, I mean, it's a way for them to try to get some healing in order. Bring the justice. In fact, I think they ought to bring to a wood chipper all the people responsible for this stuff. And I know you agree with me there, Jason.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is extraordinary. I mean, we are big supporters of Bear and his group and what they're doing. And man, I can't applaud you guys enough for what you're doing there. And man, anything we can possibly do to help to put butts in seats for something like this. But that alone, Jason, this says an awful lot about you and Shelly, man, for all that you're doing right now to try to to make it a party with a purpose, I guess, Yeah,
exactly. And the great thing about Caleb House, and you were talking about, they don't go back into the same system that they might have been in before. And I've had conversations when I was out in Oklahoma. TJ and I talked about this. He was like, the kids have a home. It's set up as a home thing. They got house parents. And he was like, a lot of these places, they'll let you go in for 6 months. And, after that, you're rehabilitated in 6 months. He's like, I can't tell a 1-year-old in 6 months that, hey, you're out on your own. He was like, these kids can stay as long as they feel necessary to stay there. And it's like I've talked to William, your son has been out there helping to do some of the permaculture design and stuff. And it's not just straight and structured. They're teaching them, a lot of the permaculture stuff and how to live off the land and that preparedness aspect. I think it's great where the kids can get the rehabilitation they need, and they can also go out and play with the sheep and pick the pears, pick the apples, do the gardens, and see hey, I can do this when I get old enough and get me a small piece of land. I know how to do this. It's actual useful skills that you can learn there. I can't hear you now. You went blank on me, Billy.
Sure is funny how this sort of thing happens when we, wiggle the cord a little bit. Sure is curious how this sort of thing happens every time we talk about this sort of thing. So a little bit aggravating, but expected. I mean, the powers that shouldn't be. Yeah, Michelle, I'm back in the saddle again. So yeah, my tech support was just rolling through the podcast room door right now to find out what was going on. But no, Jason, I mean, man, hats off to you and Shelly and the whole team up there for all you guys are doing. Man, so maybe we'll circle back to that and maybe even, try to reach out to Bear and have him on sometime to try to promote this thing even more. Is he going to be able to be there or is he tied up?
He's not. They've got Sukkot ends on Thursday, and it's one of their high holy days, one of the biblical holidays that they celebrate. So it's going on right before it. He's like, I've tried my best to get it logistically. He said, but I cannot be there. So maybe we'll hit him up and see if we can get him on a live or a phone call and tell him exactly how much money that we've raised for him that night, and talk to him that way. I'll get him on the horn and see if we can do that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was a joy to be able to have you call up the last time when I was there and you guys raised over, what was it? I don't know, $11,000-$12,000.
Yeah.
Put into an organization similar to this, but nowhere near as impactful. So, Jason, what you guys are doing is just, and it's a real joy to be able to call you my friend.
There wasn't a dry eye in that place when we were on that phone call.
No, man, I was in there. Yeah, I'll tell you what,
off the floor.
Man, boy, you got that right. The only one crying more than me is probably P. Diddy right now in the general population, and I hope he cries buckets.
Oh yeah,
buckets and buckets. Yeah. So so if I'm sweating, it's because I'm conjuring images of what he's probably going through right now because it's hot in this room. But yeah. So Jason, what else do you guys got going? I mean, it's you guys had quite the showing the last time out.
We got some of our speakers. We got Angry Prepper coming back from New York. He's coming down. Super awesome guy. I hit him up and was like, "Hey, do you want to come back down to or do you want to come down to the first time?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll be there." I was like, "Cool." Of course, William, your son's going to be there. Bill Stoker-Matic is going to be there. Bill's going to be talking about homestead security and kind of how to secure your homestead, stuff like that. One of your buddies, Randall Flomaton Famous, is coming up.
Oh, cool.
So he's going to be there. He's going to be doing tree grafting demos pretty much all weekend for us and showing people how to graft trees. Leslie Gossett is one of our friends. She's an herbalist. She'll be there. Chuck Peoples will be there. Chuck's always there teaching medical advice and showing people medical stuff. Chronically, the man and woman from Chronically Healthy are going to be there. I'm excited with them. They're going to be on our show later on too sometime. Local Prepper will be there. He's going to be talking about kind of preparedness 101. One of the guys, and you touched on mountain readiness, some of those awesome guys that were there. Actually, Byron Russell. Did you meet Byron?
I'm sure I did.
He's the drone guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's an awesome class, I was told. Yes.
Byron, I touched base with him. He lives only about an hour and 15 minutes from me. So I hit him up and was like, "Hey, Byron, do you want to come over and talk about drones?" And he goes, "Yeah, that'll be fun." So Byron's going to be there talking about drone defense for your homestead or just any kind of drone defense. He's going to have drones there where you can look at those things and talk to him all weekend. We're going to have canning demos going all weekend, some fermentation demonstrations going on. Then, of course, Randall will be doing tree grafting. And then Leslie is all weekend. Leslie will be having herbal demonstrations where you can actually go and make your own tinctures at her booth and go home with those.
Yeah, Randall, I had the pleasure of meeting him down in Alabama, man. And I got a tree right outside this window right now that he grafted for me. And, I put it in the ground, not knowing how it would do, being, it came from the deep South, man. This thing's absolutely taken off. And I'll tell you what, I learned some really, really awesome tricks from him. Like some of the things I'm doing right now where I take ear tags. Folks, this is why you want to go to an event like this, because if you go there for the price of admission, which is half of what it ought to be, for the price of admission, if you just learn this one thing that I learned from Randall, and this is, like I said, I learned quite a few things from Randall, but one of them, instead of, how many people out there put in fruit trees, you mark them, or you use the tag that came from the store, and then they either blow off, they don't stick around, they ain't no good. Well, I learned from him. I asked him, I said, man, what on earth do you do? Because everything I've ever tried, man, I don't care. It just don't work out. He says, man, we use ear tags from animal ear tags. Use the pen, you mark it on there, and it'll stay on forever and a day. And I was like, how cool is that? So if I went, for the cost of admission, do you have any idea how much aggravation and time that trick alone has saved me?
Oh, I can imagine.
It's with all the trees we got running around here. Not running. Well, if they are, man, you better be looking out of the pages of The Hobbit. But all the trees we got growing up around here, our trees don't get up and walk around, y'all. This ain't that enchanted. But that trick alone was worth every dime of admission. It's like Joel Salatin tells me. He's like, dude, have you ever read a book that wasn't worth it? You didn't get $100 worth of ideas out of it? No. You didn't. So how much more do you get when you have the collective effort of all these different awesome instructors all under one roof where you can learn all these things? And speaking of admission, what are y'all charging? Because I guarantee it ain't enough.
Right now, tickets are $25 for the full weekend.
Wow.
For Saturday and Sunday. And that gives you admission to see all the speakers and all the vendors. Right now, we've got about 50 some vendors booked. Everything from guys that make custom knives to freeze-dried foods to tinctures, herbal remedies, medical supplies, anything. If you can't find it at our show, if you're in the homesteading and the preparedness realm, you probably don't need it. So,
wow.
So we'll have that. But yeah, it's $25 right now. If you use the code email25 on the website, and the website's KentuckySustainableLiving.com. That's where you can get all your tickets for the charity dinner, for the workshops and all that. And then if you decide, granted, buy your tickets early, you're going to save some money, and it helps us plan also. But even if you wait to buy your tickets at the door, they're $35, and kids 17 and under are free.
And that in and of itself, you know what, Jason, y'all will hit up every high school around there and tell them kids to get on out. Tell them, hey, you ain't got nothing to do this weekend. Come on out. How many times can you go to the Corvette Museum? Come on out here and, go learn something. Like I said, okay, so $25 up front, I would have paid $100 easy just to have that one tip I learned from Randall on the tree tags. That alone has saved me so much time and aggravation. And, it just doesn't, you can apply it to your gardening, or, we always have a problem around here with our stakes, they just get faded or whatever the case. Well, those ear tags don't fade. And, you put a little bit of, I put some galvanized wire on there, and it's going to stay there forever and a day. And your tree can grow up with it. So, it's little things like that. Now, that's just one doggone presenter that I personally know that has taught me an idea that was worth $500 in my book. And that's just one thing from one guy. And like I said, what you're going to learn from Randall in terms of a grafting class, that class alone that he's doing, everything he's teaching you, honestly, it's a bargain at $500. That's how much he knows about what he's doing, folks. So, just on that one guy alone, William he's my son, obviously, but his understanding and his profound knowledge of the things that he's doing is, I mean, honestly, Jason, I don't know how y'all are doing it because honestly, that is a bargain and a half. I don't even understand how you can make the fees that low, but man, you guys are definitely rocking for the love.
We're running a tight ship on it. I mean, pretty much all the money that comes in goes right back out to advertising and to getting people in there. I mean, we're running it as tight as we can, and we want to get as many people as we can in there. I'm shooting. I would love, and it would thrill me nothing more than if we could get 1,000 people in the door and get 100 to 110 people at the charity dinner, and have to close the charity dinner down early and be like, hey, we sold all our tickets and we can't do it, and actually having to turn people. I would give up my seat and my meal to sell an extra ticket to it. I'll sit there and watch everybody eat prime rib and loaded baked potatoes and everything like that. I'll go grab some Arby's or something and give up a seat.
I'll tell you what, man, I couldn't believe the spread y'all had at the one. I mean, wow, that prime rib. And it was really, really, really good prime rib. Everything was good there. I couldn't even believe y'all put a spread on like that. I was blown away, and I was very full when it was all said and done.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's going to be great. Two other things. William might be making some compost there and showing people how to make compost. And then Yardbird has got their guy coming down, and we're going to be doing chicken processing. Process a few chickens on Saturday and a few more on Sunday too. So you get that firsthand.
Well, you got to love that. I mean, is there anything else you would want to add to this? Because as far as the show goes, man, I don't know that it gets any better than this. But folks, well, I mean, Jason, maybe before we conclude, I mean, why don't you talk about the community aspect of this? Because, I mean, you know as well as I do, you've been to a number of these things just like I have. And a lot of times it ain't even the classes that are the most fulfilling part of these things. It's the people you meet.
Yeah, pretty much every event that I've been to, and I've been to a lot of them, are you got speakers and everything. I've met a lot of these speakers that are at the events. I typically don't go watch anybody speak. I hang out in the back and walk around and just meet people. I've got a shirt that says Kentucky Sustainable Living, so people are like, "You're from Kentucky," and I'm like, "Yes." So you meet those people. When I've been down to Self-Reliance Festival, I literally stand over by the fence and people will come up to you and you can talk to people. I spend 95% of my time just talking to people and not going and seeing the speakers. And you were talking about, hey, you might find somebody 15 minutes down the road. One of the guys in KSL, he lives about 3.5 hours away, almost to Cincinnati. He drove down and met somebody, no kidding, that lives 10 minutes away from him. And he would have never known it. So they hooked up, and now they're doing stuff together. And he made a contact. Yeah, he had to drive down to Bowling Green, but he made that contact, and they stay in touch and talk a lot now. So you'll meet people from everywhere.
Yeah, that first event where I met you, I remember coming across this father-son duo that they live another hour. Let me see, that was every bit of 5 hours, I think, for me to drive there. And these people live another hour to the east of where I am. Well, not even an hour, I don't believe. And I met them there. I met them at, I can't remember what event it was. I mean, all these things start to run together after a while. It's like every single event, man, I come across somebody who just lives down the road from me, and they thought they were every bit as isolated as I was. And that's exactly why I'm trying to focus more and more and more on these events and people building community, because I mean, you know as well as I do that these times ain't getting no easier.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get some skills, man, you better put foot to butt right now and get things, because honestly, the way things are going, I'm starting to wonder if I'm even going to recognize the country of my birth by the end of this year.
It's a good chance we might not. I mean, it's like I saw something on TikTok. The guy was like, in the next, 50 something days to the election, it's like, am I going to be able to afford a house, or am I going to be in the middle of World War III?
Exactly.
It's kind of like that. That's the way it is. I personally think no matter which way it goes, we're going to have problems in the interim.
Yeah. And that's exactly why, I mean, like you, with a lot of these classes, depending on what event I'm going to, there's a lot of this information, because I've been at this for quite a long time, there's a lot of these classes that for me, I'm like you. I would be better served going around talking to folks. I'm better served. I mean, if there's some class I really want to see, then I'm going to make sure I'm in that. I'm going to make sure I'm out there watching it. But I always feel like I'm better served in a lot of these things. And depending on where you are in that continuum of preparedness or understanding on these things, I'm usually on the lookout to try to, make new relationships, get to know new people. Or maybe, like you said, maybe there's a speaker, like I'll give you, like Randall at Flomaton Famous. I was done talking. He was done talking. I searched him out as quick as I could, him and his wife, and they had this little teardrop camper they were dragging around, and went up there, had a great conversation, learned so much. It's kind of cool because if you're somebody like me who is a permaculture specialist, I'm a jack of all trades to a certain extent. I'm not necessarily an expert on everything, and most certainly am not. So when I'm able to get those little coaches, like a decathlete is not the best anything in the world. They're just good at all 10 events, And when I can come across somebody like Randall and I can get specialized training and I can hit him up and say, and ask questions about, man, like the tree tags I'm telling you about, $500 worth of information, if you ask me. I mean, those are the things that you can do at an event like yours. And plus, you don't have any prima donnas running around there, man. There's none of these people that you're bringing in. And that's one thing I love about the lineup is that you don't have any prima donnas coming in that feel as if there's so much royalty in YouTube where they just do their 5-minute whatever, their 30-minute presentation, they walk off and then you never find them again, which was something that will always burn me up at like places like HOA and some of the others where these people get in there, do their thing, and then you don't see them again. It's like, okay, I guess they get their check and then they roll out. I mean, I don't understand the purpose of even going there if you can't sit there and field questions and talk to folks.
Yeah, I mean, Jason, Angry Prepper, was one of the guys. I didn't know how long he would stay, and I asked him, I'm like, do you want a booth to sell your T-shirts and stuff like that? He was like, no. He said, I want to walk around. He was one of the last guys helping us pack up stuff, and he stayed. He was here till 5 or 6 o'clock Sunday night. But, man, that dude walked all kinds of miles, and every time I looked around, I mean, he's a big old dude. He's hard to miss. Every time I looked around, he was either sitting down or standing up talking to somebody. He was probably sore in the throat after talking to so many people all weekend.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am when I go to these things but man, I feel like, I mean, honestly, if somebody cared enough to come all that way, I mean, it's not a burden for me. I mean, maybe you're in the wrong business, but I love the fact that you don't have any of these folks because I know who they are. I mean, they go in there, they do their little talk, and then they're looking to skate out the back door, and then you never see them again. Man, that's always been a big frustration for me. And I always said that, if I was ever in that position, and when I am, I'm the first in and last out every single time.
Yeah.
Because I do want to interact with folks out there. I mean, I just can't even believe the fact that you came all this way. And honestly, you meet fantastic people along the way, like right here in this, the Homestead twins, those brothers. Well, I'm telling you what, Jason, if they show up there, man, you better hold on to your hat. These guys will have you in stitches, bro. They will absolutely.
I've talked to them a couple times. They're hilarious.
Yeah, but they're also real smart too.
Yeah.
They showed up. There's some of those guys that they showed up with blueprints, and it was kind of cool, dude. We're going into the wee hours looking at these, or it felt like the wee hours because everybody was gone, and we're sitting around this table looking at the blueprints. But those are the things that you can do. And these guys were so squared away, man. They didn't need anything we had to offer, but it certainly doesn't hurt to get a second set of eyes on something. But I mean, these guys are so squared away, man. They give me these. I mean, that's another cool thing. The first time I ever met those guys, man, they handed me a pack of these high quality stickers that I can't even have made, and we were able to put them on our comfrey that we sell. Give them away for the permaculture Pemcast. I still got the one sitting on the table right now. I'm trying to figure out. Well, I'm gonna put them on every vehicle, and I'm thinking about tagging some of these vehicles in Asheville. Some of these little Marchies rolling around here. Put some of those Pemcast stickers on. No, I won't do that. But no, it's things like that, and then you make these friends where you almost even can't wait till the next event, as you well know, because you start to make friends with these folks, dude, and you can't wait to see them, from one event to the next, and you just wish you had more bandwidth to be able to hang out longer.
Oh yeah. And then part of the cool stuff too is doing this, I've met all kinds of incredible people that are real close, within the state of Kentucky. One of the girls, when we did our very first one, Emily Rock, she's got 3 Jersey cows and she does milk shares. She's literally 10 miles down the road from me. I never knew it. So we become friends, me and her husband and everything. We're friends now. I've got a custom knife maker that's right down in Clarksville that I could call him up. He makes awesome knives for us. And then one of the coolest things, Caliber Armor, is based out of Louisville, Kentucky, and which Louisville's 90 miles from me. They make body armor and plate carriers there. So it's a Kentucky-made product. And the girl, I talked to the sales girl. She's one of our sponsors. I talked to the sales girl. She's like, come up on a Thursday or Friday, and I'll give you a plant tour when the owners are here. And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, just call me and let me know when you're coming up.
Wow.
So it's nice. You meet these people and then you make connections. And I mean, she didn't know me from Adam, but she's like, yeah, we'll sponsor your event and come on up whenever you want and check it out.
Well, there's we got a couple of comments here. I'll just hit this one right quick. It says, does anyone know anything like this up there, like this festival up in Ontario, Canada? I was up there about this time last year, and actually, it was about this time last year, maybe a little bit longer than that. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, that's the beauty about going to these things. You may actually want to make a road trip down to Kentucky. I'll be honest with you. I'm floored every time we do an event or something like that, and then I'm meeting people like the Homestead twins coming all the way from practically Canada. They might as well be in Canada as far north as they are. And then people from all up in Northern California, Washington State, even met a few Canadians. I was up in Canada working with Stefan Subkowiak, Michelle and I last year. So a lot of these things you're going to have to, everybody's waiting for somebody else to kick it off. And, Jason didn't do that. And so I imagine you and Shelly are still, I'm taking it Shelly is still very much involved in all this.
Shelly's very much involved. Shelly and I are the ones that started this. And we still blame you because you're the main reason that you planted the seed. It was when I think the very first time we did anything on YouTube with you, Shelly and I were on there. We got off and you were talking. You're like, you and Shelly need to do a festival. And I was like, you must have been drinking before this deal because that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And you planted that seed, and then Shelly and I were sitting down talking about it, and we're like, let's do a festival. And, like 2 months after we spoke it, we started planning it, and we're like, we don't know if this thing's going to go off the rails or not, but we're going to try it. And so you're to blame for all of it.
Well, no, I think you guys are to blame because honestly, I can't. I mean, you have a extraordinary gift for communication, especially explaining to people how they benefit by being a part of something like this. I wish I could be there, man. I truly wish I could, but you know what?
Come in March.
Yeah, well, I'll do everything I possibly can, but if we still have a planet by then, I'd love to be able, in fact, drive a little past there because there's a couple of places in Louisville I wouldn't mind eating at again, like Mama's Mustard and Pickles, and then there's this other place, man, this burrito shop where all the chefs go, all the highfalutin stick your pinky up chefs go, and they got a burrito called the Garbage, which is off the chain. It's over there by the airport, but man, I know my way around. Believe me, I know my way around Kentucky. I've done a lot of work up there, working at the Kentucky truck plant and Toyota. Man, every car plant they got in Kentucky, I've been up there messing around at. So, man. Well, Jason, anything else you want to leave the audience with here?
No, that's all. Go ahead. It helps us plan everything. If you can get your tickets ahead of time, it's going to save you $10 too. It's KentuckySustainableLiving.com. All the information's on there to get your tickets for the workshops, the charity dinner, and tickets to get in for the weekend. But go buy those, help us out so we can plan a little bit better. And it's going to be an awesome weekend for everybody. And the biggest thing that I'm excited about is I want to pack that charity dinner and have to turn people down and be like, we don't have room for y'all anymore because we can only seat so many people. But like I said, I'll give up my seat. I know Shelly will give up her seat if we can sell even more tickets for that.
Man, that's exactly what I'm talking about, man. That is such a joy to know that that's going on. Well, Jason, thank you so much for being there. I want to thank everybody that was in the chat today. Remember, go check out this Kentucky Sustainable Living Festival. There's going to be a lot of cool people there. And like I said, it's not going to be one of those ones where you got a couple of rock stars in there. They go in there, do their little thing, and then they roll out the back door and you never see them again. I mean, you got some down-to-earth people that you can absolutely positively approach. And man, I definitely give my endorsement on a number of these people. Chuck Peoples, he's fantastic. He probably have a son there, and a number of others over there, man. That these are very, very capable people. And honestly, we didn't get into it, but honestly, Jason has something that nobody else on this planet has, and that's called a chicken tractor on meth. So if you go there, go check him out, y'all. Until next time, I want to thank everybody in the chat. And it's good to hang out with y'all. I need to do these lives a little more often, but I'm typically talking about things on these podcasts that could somehow get me blackballed. But that's why I got to keep it in the audio format most of all. But I want to thank Jason. I want to thank all of you for being here. Until next time, stay alert, stay alive.
They don't want an individual, just a carbon copy. True spitting that manicotti, yeah, I'm talking saucy. All they want to build is a prison world full of pet Tamagotchis. The kamikaze got me out of body like I'm Goku SS3. They want to push me to the center like a cell. They want to spin up at the center of the nexus, me. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. I will never bow down, 'cause I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior. They want me to bow down, but I'm a warrior. I'm a warrior.